what I've seen
This
before.
is a bit of a experiment to see what happens if we just like record us talking passionately about Angular things. You know, if there's anything that we can like mine from this in order to like do social things with as well. So like if you get the urge to say customer names, try and suppress that. Other than that, I'd say let's just go for it and see what happens, and we'll worry about consequences after the fact. All right, I should be presenting. Can you see it, David?
Yep.
All right, cool. So typically I like to work from the bottom up to kind of like get the oldest thing across the finish line that I can. Zachary, where did this land? Did this get added?
This is, I needed help at one point because there's that error in the description that I was getting with one of the things with NG Packager, and I did not know what to do with it because I haven't done libraries enough with
it. Doesn't look
like
the
what is
this also might have changed because standalone apps is like the video dashboard.
Yeah, we have like
library packaging example.
The more directory where we have examples that require special tooling.
They're entire projects, not.
Gotcha.
Oh, and the socket one. Those are the three.
And so it's really actually an NG Packager issue. It can't. I don't understand what NG Packager has to do with NG serving.
For whatever reason, it looks like that example can't serve.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure like everything ran at each of the things.
Wait, so I think Jack made this set of examples in the first place.
Yeah, but that was an ancient history.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then let's just like bring the code up, and you can remind us what it was supposed to achieve. It's possible we should actually set the code aside, and then just gen just like gen a fresh new working Angular 8 version, and then bring the code in.
That might be easier.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
So
the whole point of this example was to demonstrate using NG Packager, making a library that could contain your own components.
Okay.
That is the goal.
And so, like, is there a pair of projects? Like one that, or is it an Angular CLI project that has a library and an application? Like what?
So it's a Angular CLI project that basically just exports some of the components some of the modules with components inside them that are used in it. So it doesn't have any kind of separate. I think it's under NG Packager there. Yeah. So just one project that has one component and one module, or I guess two modules technically. But the idea here is that this copyright module and this copyright component, which I should probably fix the spelling of, because I'm bad at words. There's a reason I'm not an English person.
Everywhere.
At least I'm consistent. Anyway, so because it's the rights to the copy, right? It's not the we didn't write the
you do write copy.
Yeah, you write copy, but you don't. This is about.
But you don't copy, right?
This is about copying right, not about the right to copy.
Right.
Is the correct spelling of the word copyright? What are you saying is misspelled?
So the right in copyright should be right as in writing things down, not
no,
right.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
It's correct.
Right.
This is
the
correct.
spelling is right.
Oh, okay.
But I thought I saw one go by earlier in the evolution of this branch where the H and T were reversed in one of the spellings.
I don't know. Anyway, at some point
They're not all misspelled, but I remember seeing one was misspelled in here at some point. It may have been fixed.
At some point I did it wrong, but it's right now apparently. So that's cool. But as you can see, it doesn't really do very much, right? It's just here as something to be exported as a library.
So like where does it get imported to though?
I don't think it actually.
It's literally just.
It's just like showing you the tooling that you need.
Yeah, it's just showing the tooling that you need to create and publish the library. I think it actually does publish. Like if you look in package.json.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like it has a build thing in there.
Yeah.
Well, I think
So is this specifically so that you can use NG Packager separate from the CLI?
this probably predates. Yeah, so NG Packager was quite excellent for like 1 or 2 entire Angular versions before it came feasible to do it via the CLI. I mean, I used it a long time ago
Yeah.
with great results. So
this was
And the CLI uses ng packager under the covers to
Yeah,
package
but, like,
libraries.
I would
So-
say in 2019, we clearly shouldn't, like, we should not bring this up and use this in class.
Right.
Let me show you a way to do something you shouldn't do anymore. Like, that's not our brand.
Right.
And so in the effort to get this branch out the door, do we want to tackle dealing with this old?
I mean, do you think, like, I'm not even convinced that it should even exist at all in its current form
Yeah.
as something we published in
Deleted
2019.
immediately.
Delete?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could just delete
I could be on board.
Yeah.
the thing that we
I'm fine
don't
with
do
that.
anymore.
Yeah.
Because like it'll be easy, like it'll actually be much easier to recreate than it was to create. I mean, Jack had to do actual research to create it in the first
Right.
place, whereas like recreating it is probably just like copy and paste 2 or 3 CLI commands to bootstrap from scratch.
Yeah.
Why?
So,
and ng
So hard.
generate library, give it a name.
Yeah, it's like super
Done.
easy.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
the
guess
only- The thing that I would like, it something that could go in more about libraries would be how to package assets with a library, because it uses ng packager, you cannot just say in the Angular JSON, you can't just say here's your assets folder, because ng packager does not handle assets at all. You have to have post-processing
Am I hearing
scripts to do that.
someone volunteering to make a branch?
That's what I'm hearing.
That really sound. I really think I heard someone volunteer to make a branch that creates a good example of publishing and consuming a library. Man, I think I heard that.
That's what
I
don't-
mean,
Well,
you could
you
hear that. It's possible.
Yeah, Paul. You know,
Right? Is that something that, like, I had to do that for my last client project?
yeah, you should
Is
totally
that-
do that. Make a branch for that. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, the idea is that like we always want the content, that way we can like, we never know which situation we're going to get dropped into, and like
Yeah.
having that pool there is
Totally.
always helpful. Like I should absolutely, like without a doubt, do a rather large NX.
Totally. Yeah.
Project
Yeah. We should
in
include
here.
like a realistic shaped NX one also. We should include it with and without though, because like some people are not yet ready to fully step into the light. And
I haven't stepped into the light yet, just
You
because I
have-
haven't been able to. So
even among us,
Well, I have opportunities if you're interested. I have an open source thing that desperately needs contributors.
ooh.
It's built in NX.
But Paul, I have a different question.
yeah, let me know.
How do you live without syntax highlighting of that inline template? Isn't there an add-on that gives you syntax highlighting of an inline template?
I don't know. Is there?
Yeah, I think there is one now.
Yeah,
That was-
IntelliJ IDEA does that.
You know, that's great, but like for anyone joining us recently, the usual spiel, like if we could dictate, we would probably just say we use WebStorm, and that's what we use. Like if we could make that choice and apply it to everybody, we would. But it's a commercial product, which means it's not free, which means that even though it's cheap, it's actually a big problem for some of our customers and students. And we don't want to create more walls between us and our students.
Mhm.
And so by us staying on the free tool set, which is like, it's like what, 90% as good as WebStorm or whatever, it makes it easier for us to tell our students, of course you can have the exact same tools I'm using right now. You follow me, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't think anybody here thinks VS Code is like 20x better than WebStorm, right? It's not like we're not partisans. We're just trying to make sure we can be connected to our students.
Yeah, it's more, I'm really missing it right now, because like the last client project I was on, I couldn't do it, and
Yeah.
the Pixel books obviously won't run it. So
Why not?
Won't run
You can
WebStorm?
get it for Linux, right?
I don't think so.
It's not a really WebStorm.
No,
it's not Linux and
honestly, I haven't really checked.
That was
So
So you can run almost any Linux. The only Linux software you definitively won't be able to run is Linux software. It's like system level. Like you can't install Docker on there because it uses like system level hooks that you can't run inside another container. But anything at the application level should run. I mean, it's basically Ubuntu, right? Well, it's
Mhm.
Debian with some packages.
Right.
So I don't see any reason why you couldn't. And I haven't tried because I run VS Code, but
Anyone know what extension I'm after here in order to get the highlighting?
No, I
No idea what the name of it is.
It does.
Angular,
It does indeed have a
Angular
Linux.
inline, maybe?
That Angular 2 inline thing.
Is it updated?
Yeah, I guess I have it on mine, but I don't know what extension
Huh.
it is.
Well, this one has 5 stars and 400,000 installs.
Angular language.
I'm still trying to
service,
figure out what
we have
it
that at
actually does.
Syntax highlighting for inline HTML.
And style sheets.
Yeah, okay, I do have that one. Yeah.
Angular 2 inline.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do
so
we
if I
have a consistent set of VS Code extensions that we recommend?
yeah, I'm about to go add it to that list.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying to like keep the curriculum up to date with like the fully recommended set.
Let's see, where does it
Something
put?
about that there.
Where does it
But,
put? The,
Paul, I usually run one for a few hours, make sure it doesn't make it crashy before I start
Yeah.
recommending it to others.
Good point.
It's
Yeah,
mostly because I've been burned before, though.
Yeah, that plugged right in and it started working. So, all right. So where were we actually in the code here? So I think that was just what was up. But we were looking at, we were trying to get this across the finish line. This is all about getting the standalone things upgraded to Angular 8.
Yeah.
In terms of that, it was mostly just file structure and big files. But yeah,
So here they are.
I don't say this for every so let me know if I can talk anymore.
So does your change only affect the stuff in more?
Yes,
Okay.
that was explicitly what the branch was for.
Why do we always get this?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Always good one.
that? Do you just have to like run
Well,
an
I probably have an
NPM or
NPM
yarn in
installed.
there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have an NPM installed.
Yeah. Are these set up for
That's a-
NPM or yarn?
that's
I
a
mean,
good
a couple of
question.
stuff is set up for yarn.
It's got a yarn lock
That's the answer.
and a
Yarn.
package lock.
I'd kind of like a tool that you would run and it would look at your thing and alias to NPM or yarn, so you wouldn't have to look. In fact, I would like that.
Tool.
I would like that tool to install itself under the global names, both NPM and yarn. So whichever one you say, it just runs the one you're using in the project you're on.
That'd be nice.
We will call that we will call this like the what's one of those famous examples of when a brand became generic? The Kleenex. Yeah, we'll call this the Kleenexification of NPM.
I think there is a word for that. I don't remember. Like,
Yeah, there is a better
process.
word. I'm making up words. This thing worked. Oh, it's still
That
going.
terrifies me then. Oh yeah, there's actually a squash on Bitbucket now too, which is nice. When you merge.
All right. So I should.
So the ability for Bitbucket to do that, I mean, that's like kind of cool and all,
It just makes it
But-
convenient for
but like
that project.
I'm trying to make things convenient for like I really want, if possible, all the work to be done by the person submitting the work for merging. And like
Right.
I'm not real interested in the person accepting the merge being the person that has to like consolidate the commit message, verify it really does work with slash merge, that kind
Right.
of thing.
Well, the problem with that is like with our things, I guess we could resubmit a PR, but once we have a PR and then there's comments on it.
I
then
mean, we
you
could have many
submit-
conversations there.
Oh yeah, I know.
I mostly don't use PR features.
Different corporate business, so yeah. I would love to not have to do that too. But
And when I do, I don't hesitate to make a new PR. And in fact, if you watch a lot of open source big project work on GitHub, it's quite routine for a thing that's gone on for a while for people to make a new PR that's a consolidation and continuation. So like
makes sense.
I really don't think people should feel constrained to like try to like march along the exact single PR path. I mean, it's a tool choice that could be made, but it's just not awesome.
Yeah, it's a process. I mean, there's Bitbucket can wipe all the approvers off if there's a change made to the PR, but I actually like Azure DevOps will actually show the differences between like any updates that are made. It'll actually show all those different commits and allow you to step through them from when you last looked at the PR.
Yeah, Bitbucket kind of has that too. But it more or less just tells you what files have been edited since you last looked.
Yeah. It's not as convenient as the Azure DevOps one.
All right. So this is building and running and building elements. So I think this one's doing good. Was this the only one you were struggling with? This one in Packager?
I wasn't struggling with that one. That one was fine. The only
Okay.
one I was struggling with was NG Packager.
Well,
it just
deleting
made
that
it
now
broke.
should be good. Do we have in our CI/CD for this? Do we have it doing anything with those more folders?
I think we might.
So like if I just run it through a test branch, it should just.
I mean, they're all test branches on this one.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, you could squash, rebase, push, and see what happens. We could also trying to think. I mean, if we're not running them in the CI, we could add it. As a caution, you don't want to bring up your Bitbucket screen with any other stuff on it for a thing we're recording, so it's kind of a challenge. Oh my, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's sort of straight. That was impressive.
So Kyle, the word you were looking for is genericide.
Ah.
And there's a list of genericided products here, and there's some surprising ones.
I want to create a product called Genericide.
Yeah.
And hope that it gets genericide.
So give me an example of a genericided product.
Well, there's the obvious thermos, Kleenex, Q-tip, chapstick,
Q-tips.
aspirin.
Popsicle.
Popsicle is on here. Bubble wrap, Kool-Aid. Some more surprising ones.
Wait, Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
Everyone does. They just don't know it's Kool-Aid.
What, you haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet, Kyle?
So the one that surprised me the most.
So back when I was a boy,
Oh boy.
which is not that long ago, but I love saying things like that. Like, it was only the kind of, parents you're glad aren't yours on the street who would serve the kids the off-brand Kool-Aid-like product.
That was my parents.
And they would not call it Kool-Aid.
Like flavor
Well, my
it.
parents wouldn't serve any of it at all. There would be no sugar products would be served, regardless. But still, if you were going to drink the Kool-Aid, that applied, we would have never used that to apply generically. I guess it's become genericized since then.
Yeah.
Does that have Coca-Cola or Coke? Because that depends upon where you live.
It says in subpopulation, so it might be there.
Yeah, Texas, Coke means any soft drink.
The problem is
is that true that we
most
actually
people
done
are
all that
just
stuff?
Yeah, it got weird because I was based off of Kyle's branch at one point. Kyle's branch got merged and mine just got left over, so I kept all this.
Look at this. Look at that.
Wow, this is
That's hardcore.
It changed the UI.
Like none of these options. How about, like,
Restart tonight. Restart tonight.
Yes, but it won't be turned on tonight.
Then don't turn it off.
Yeah, but you're gonna restart it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But no, like the phrase, like, they drank the Kool-Aid. Like, no, it's totally generic.
Yeah.
Well, that phrase is. Anyway, go on.
But so the most surprising one that I saw was heroin.
Heroin is a brand.
I knew that.
Heroin was a brand.
Yes, by Baur.
Huh.
Now owner of our hometown agribusiness, Monsanto.
Yeah.
Yes, those folks. Yeah.
Are you loving this conversation, David?
Yeah.
Dumpster.
Actually, there's a really good podcast called Sawbones that goes into the origins of heroin and the opioid crisis. They go into a lot of patent medicines and other things like that. So this is actually pretty cool.
Let's see. Velcro. Trampoline.
Wow.
Kerosene.
Ooh,
Dry ice.
I think I knew that. Oh, wow.
Linoleum. Photoshop is obvious. Hovercraft. Laundromat.
Do we have those?
That is very.
Teleprompter.
I'm really surprised by half of these things. I'm very surprised by.
Escalator.
Escalator. I think I knew that one was a.
Crock pot.
I knew. Wait, crock pot.
Yep.
To me, that still
Slow
implies
cooker.
the brand, because slow cooker is the generic word.
No, it's regional.
I think, yeah. I think.
But here's a question, though. I wonder is a thing considered genericized when people in some part of the country just decide to start using the word that way, or is it considered genericized once it has happened so long and so widely that the company has literally lost trademark protection? Because I have a feeling if I made a slow cooker and called it a crock pot, I have a feeling I'd get a nasty letter.
Yeah, so according to the article, there's a gradient.
Okay, interesting.
Uh,
We're going to be able to get back to real work here, Paul, or are we still juggling branches?
What did I do?
I have no idea.
I was on the wrong branch when I made that change.
Yeah, Cypress tests.
Cool.
The thing is, I think you made your local Cypress tests my branch, but the
Wait,
origin Cypress tests are still themselves.
Yep, you're right. Because I thought I was on.
You did a reset to.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing, but it was not helpful. Whatever it was.
Get somebody here who knows how to run Git, Paul.
Yeah. All right, let's try this again. So this is your branch. I need to come in here and do the delete again. The delete was all we really did.
Well, the branch that the Balbes, wait. Your local Cypress test, I believe, is the right thing, isn't it?
Nah, I don't trust it at all
Okay.
at this point.
You did a reset hard, so it did wipe everything and reset to my branch.
That's true.
But you do you.
Yep, I don't trust it for a second.
Well, curriculum, so.
Just make sure you carefully review the final result before you
Yes.
merge it.
By the way, we have Cypress tests now. Wait, what?
We have most of the way to Cypress.
Yeah, I know.
We need to get that across the finish line.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
So what is the difference between Cypress test? Like how is it better? Better solution.
So Cypress is worse but better. It's better by being worse. It's less end to end than Protractor. So it's like in that sense it's slightly worse. It's not as much as if a real user was clicking, but the trade-off they're able to get by that is that it's about 10 plus times more convenient. And so Cypress is better in the sense you're way more likely to actually write end-to-end tests if you use it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, writing tests as opposed to being frustrated and not writing them, some tests are better than zero tests.
Exactly. They're far more end-to-end than the Protractor test that you gave up on. Everyone in the room who's used Protractor is now.
Yeah, no, the ergonomics and the tooling support that it just like starts with.
Yeah.
Like I actually I'm fully converted to like a test-driven paradigm now when I'm writing my stuff, because I start with running Cypress, and it has its testing / like viewer of the app so well integrated that I tool the actions I was manually walking through anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's such a low barrier of entry to do that.
Didn't you say that you mostly just use it as your dev browser?
Yeah,
now?
like
That's amazing.
I go back and I open up Cypress as opposed to opening up my browser.
That is amazing.
And because it also like drops you and leaves you at the end of your test with like the app just running at the end of that test, so you can like continue on.
Have been begging for that from Protractor. And the odd thing is that like Selenium, Selenium actually does not give you any like Selenium doesn't stop a user from operating the browser. So there's not like any technological reason why you couldn't like say when it fails, halt at that point and let the user try to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's just some other obstacle. The feature's not there. But that would be wonderful.
Like it's a flip of the switch to get things like screen snapshots and video recordings that just like automatically happen.
That's so cool.
Like no extra plugins needed.
Yeah.
It just is ready to go. It also, as it's executing your tests, it's creating DOM snapshots of the actions, and then you can go back in their viewer and like click through the history of the test and see the DOM at that moment in time in their editor. And it's actually just Chrome, and then you can then go on and interact with the DOM as it was at that point in time, just like you're inspecting your document at that, when you're
running. That's a lot more helpful. I mean, that's getting screenshots of what's going on at each step is really helpful when, and Protractor can do that, but having DOM snapshots seems even more helpful. So
do you need to go delete the remote branch? Oh, you just need to make a version 2? Yeah. Okay. So what's there? What's going on here?
Wait, what? Can you not put it that?
Remote branch. It thinks is an empty remote branch name. Why is that? Oh, because it what? Lost your remote branch name. What if you...
So in Mac, I actually historically had to hit enter to get it to actually take that branch name.
Weird.
And source tree sketchy.
So I just updated source tree before we started.
Well,
that was a mistake. Possible.
At this point, I'd go to the
Branch
command
locally.
line.
Yeah.
You can also just branch locally.
Yeah, but I mean, we need to get it figured out though. Command
Keep
lines are
cracking.
great, but
That's a,
Let's see, what is it? Origin.
Dash set.
if you just,
set dash upstream origin,
Paul,
and then the
if
name.
you just type get push with nothing else, it will tell you what to do, and you can copy and paste the command, and that way you don't have to type it. What? Oh, you're not. Have you never set up a SSH
I
key?
apparently have never set up an SSH key on this machine.
We're being SSH key shamed by Git.
Okay, well, maybe if I try to push it to a simpler, different name.
you can also try branching locally and just push.
Yep,
Great.
that'll probably work.
Branching.
Just hit the
Just
branch button.
and
Hit the branch button, and then just type in your new name there.
new branch and then push. Randomly.
Right. That way, when you're pushing, you're not changing the name, and that way you're not activating whatever feature of source tree is causing trouble.
I didn't realize you hadn't branched. I made a second branch locally.
Let's blame it on the Windows. It needs to reboot.
That's sadly a real possibility. The kinds of hooks it leaves in there.
Okay, well, we can let that one turn off and do its thing because that's not going to conflict with any of our other changes, right? Let's look at the next thing. We're going to make use of our time together.
All right, so next thing is the Cypress test branch. The actual one, not the one I failed on.
Now, is that the one we need? Why don't you give us a tour of how it's structured now?
Sure.
And we'll see if we can at least identify the problems, and maybe there'll be a volunteer in the room who decides to try to fix it.
I've not actually messed with this one too much. This is almost entirely, if not entirely, written by Luke. I just set him on the task of doing so. But by default, like he's using the default structure that Cypress typically recommends is like near the top of your app or the top of your folder structure.
Do you have the wrong folder open, Paul?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at something's odd with the.
You have Angular class material open instead of ABC open.
Yep. So I've got like the very top level one.
I wish there was a right click on a folder and say open this one instead. I really wish to have that.
Bill has a request for us to add some explanation to the smart component pattern set, in case people didn't see it.
We still have an outdated. Oh, this branch is old. Probably didn't get rid of the old outdated one. Anyway, so yeah, the basic installation says we're going to Cypress right here at the root of your application, and unfortunately, it has like these like pretty strong opinions on like you better have some of these files in place. Like even if you're not using plugins, you still got to have the index.js. Even if you're not doing anything with this, you still got to have these base files here.
And so the main thing I need is some way of giving it a different pattern to look for its specs.
Right.
That's the main thing, because like see this pattern here, like I believe this is unacceptable for our use because we renumber, and so I don't want the numbers to be in. Like if you look at how we did the protractor tests to the company, like 3/4 they're in the folders and they just automatically test.
Copied in it.
And furthermore, they get automatically exported and landed in the standalone one that we publish. And I'd like to do that here, but like we have to get them where they're like they have to be co-located.
Right.
I was actually thinking of rename. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you saying that you want the spec files in the actual step folders, or do you just want to be able to rename them?
I want them in the spec folders.
Okay.
With a, we'll have to figure out, like right now we have that E2E directory in each one or most of them. We might rename that to be E2E-protractor and then have an E2E-Cypress or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's this at least.
I mean, the question is there a way to tell it a different...
like a glob pattern to pick up?
Yeah.
I think you created that.
I did.
You might be the best fit.
Yeah, probably.
So what's this say? Okay. So did the enhancement...
So this is one of the authors saying
So
this.
was it closed because it happened or closed because it didn't happen?
Right, yeah.
So okay, so I would like this. I would like this. I would like this too. Yep. Yeah, I would. Yes. Yes. Here's the response.
This is 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is from a long time ago. The question is what finally happened.
Right. Oh.
So the person who created it said, all right, that's good enough for now. And so it got closed.
So
Well,
what
no,
is
this
this?
is
That's a different issue.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It is a reference issue. What is the entire file?
I only know that because I've gotten caught by like GitHub that said, "Oh, this is closed." Oh, wait, no, that's a different issue that's closed.
Right.
So supposedly this is fixed. So like you might just be able to like command line run this to tell it to go.
Well, when it says that command line spec flag, it might well mean that you can use the same flag in the config file also.
Very likely.
I would
so
much rather do than.
so there should be a Cypress JSON file somewhere.
I think I saw one at some point. It's a little bit hard. Well, no, actually, just can do Control P CYP. There, it's right there. See?
So this is at
Isn't
the
that
root,
cool?
and so theoretically, I should be able to specify spec right here,
I mean,
and then give it
I would really love to have docs in front of me, but yeah, I agree.
give it something like star
The Wild West
slash
is fun.
star dot
Well, go
e2e dot
go
spec.
look at the glob we did
Like
for
that.
the protractor ones.
Ooh, let's see, that'd
Because-
probably be in your protractor.
Probably,
Maybe.
Like lots, not to be done.
So
Right
that's
there.
what we did for the spec there, right? And so
There's
I'm getting at, see how they say slash E2E?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to need to pick a different slash something.
Slash Cypress.
Yeah, yeah.
so in the docs for Cypress, it says in the options there's a test files, capital F, a string glob pattern of the test files to load. Is that what we're looking for?
Possibly. What does it say test files are?
It doesn't.
Thanks.
Of the test files to load, is all it says.
That's helpful.
That was pretty funny. There's a lot of things called Cypress in the world.
Especially coffee shops.
Let's see. What's the easiest way we can search? You said it's called test files.
Yeah, go to guide/reference. Well, actually, hey, I can probably. It's a meeting. I can post it in the chat. There you go.
Automatically, by default, it'll create this.
If you click on configuration, that's
Yeah,
the page that I'm on, and it's under options.
Overriding options, okay. So annoying.
I feel like we need to rewire these fridges.
Yeah, like get an extension cord and plug them into a different outlet. Or plug the TV into a different outlet or something.
There's a lot of things here.
Yeah, the hash. So after the hashtag, it's capital O options, is where it took me.
Could probably also just do a Control F on
There
the
it
page.
is. And then,
Okay, so yeah, here we go. So the base URL is the one thing we're already sitting, right?
Yeah.
Sitting.
so if you scroll down a little bit, it says test files.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary that its default is.
Everything.
It makes me think that that's inside some directory it's looking, doesn't it?
That's what makes me think too.
It doesn't make sense that we're looking for all files everywhere in the universe under that name, and that's a bit much.
Everything from a particular directory on down is what that glob would do. So
You want to maybe search for test files in their issue tracker, see if some. Feel unlucky. Support for. What is this -- spec everyone keeps talking about?
Well,
Is that just
it
like
had a different section on overriding options down here.
Well, that's what I wonder.
So,
Is -- spec like
Is
a
that during the command
synonym?
line? Or-
You could search for spec in this here. That might tell us something. Might be able to find where it talks about it. That's not it. There's several more. We get lucky here. Nope, especially. Okay. Well, that's very weird. That there's a command line option spec that doesn't even appear in this thing about the options. And maybe this will tell us. Maybe spec will be documented here. How to specify which spec files. So this is what I don't understand. Like, is that spec like a different kind of option? Like, does that overlay on top of something you set from the config file? Like, if you just, okay, how about this, Paul? How about if you just ran it with that spec with a wildcard that should make it find where we want to put the files, then just move a couple of the files to where we want to put the files and see if it works.
Yep.
So according to this that I'm reading, test files are located in Cypress/integration by default, but can be configured to another directory.
Yeah, but we want it across like all directories.
Well, yeah, it would have to be the base directory of where they all are, which would be like a dot. Unfortunately, it may be angry at us.
And there's an option called file server folder, which is the root by default, the root project folder. And then there is there's integration folder, which is the folder containing integration test files.
So when they say, like, do they see themselves as an integration test tool?
What do you mean by that?
Like when they say integration test files, are they trying to refer to a subset of all the things you do with Cypress? Or do they mean all the stuff you do with Cypress?
That's all the stuff, like, that's all you do with.
Right. So when they say where are the integration tests, they really mean where are all the Cypress tests?
Yeah.
Well, there's end-to-end tests and then there's integration tests. Those are two.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Those are two different terms, but Cypress only uses the one term.
That's what I was getting at. So I think Cypress probably means integration test probably means all the Cypress tests. And I haven't seen anything that says they think about two kinds of tests.
Yeah, I mean, it says integration folder, and the default is Cypress/integration, which is the default for all test files in Cypress anyway. So,
what one are you talking about?
The ones about the Firebase app types.
Yeah,
it's just like one extra install.
Yeah, I think I got that fixed in one of the downstreams. You could probably take a look at what I did in one of the downstreams, and they've repeatedly changed what you have to depend on to get good results, and it works. It seems to work well if you follow the current instructions, but you kind of have to keep following the instructions to keep it all running cleanly.
Yeah. By reason I mentioned that I've done Firebase within the last month. So.
Yeah. So Paul, what?
So this is still the old way. I'm just trying to get it.
I just want to see it run the old way.
See it run it all before I. Yeah.
That's smart. And why is it not?
It takes a while to get it all bootstrapped.
Why does it take a while?
I don't
new
know.
updates are available.
So it has correctly identified that I told it to look somewhere and have not done anything to make that thing exist.
Is it saying you have to run a web server on that port, or that it expects to run a web server on that port?
No, it's saying that, like, hey, you told me to look at that URL, and I tried going there as a pre-flight check. And
then what's that thing about new updates are available?
It just tells you to go ahead and install the newest update.
So is that locally or globally installed? It's locally installed.
Locally installed. They had it where you used to install it globally, but you're really only supposed to install it locally.
Were they justly excoriated on Twitter for recommending that?
Know.
Because if they weren't, I'll be happy to join in.
Wait, if they weren't, you'd be happy to join in.
If they were not yet tweeted at,
you'd be glad to start. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I've actually already had this file here, it can't find any.
It is a moral indignation for a project to assume that I have a single computer globally dedicated to running one specific version of that tool.
Yep.
All
right. This is the thing working, right?
Yep, so the tooling's in place.
So now we want to know if we can put specs where we really want to put them.
So the question is, can I come over here, put in a -- spec?
Yeah.
And then give it what?
You have to do / quote to be inside this quote. So it'd be star slash Cypress star slash Cypress slash star.spec.ts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you use single quote there?
We need double quotes because of Windows.
Yeah. The single quote thing inside does not work cross-platform, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
It's
That's what I was wondering.
That one does need to stay open. Listen, over here is our Cypress.
the funny thing is, like 20 years ago, legacy Windows things were like an ongoing bane of my existence. And they're all still there.
Okay, so this says I don't know what a spec is.
Oh, come
Do I need to
on.
set it equal to like this? Is that actually the problem?
I mean, maybe, but if you scroll down where it says options, it'll tell you what options it does know about, and none of them are spec.
Config.
And that's when you're actually like manually running the spec from the CLI or the command line.
Well, and we are. That's what we're doing over here.
No,
Yeah.
you're just opening Cypress.
Oh.
I did see an issue that said something about
Yeah.
spec with open.
So do you have to say run?
Right there.
Oh.
Which
Gross.
means you might have to.
Okay. Here's a tip. Have you been clicking follow on these issues, Paul? Oh, you're not signed in. Okay. I always follow issues where I'm like, I will smile when this is fixed. Whenever
This will give me a happy feeling someday.
right. A random happy feeling sometime in the next 0 to 5 years if I click on this button right here.
Well,
that's
half
not-
9 years, you're optimistic, right?
I was saying some of the features might be eventually fixed in 5 years from now.
That's anything being a material for me within the past 2 years.
Okay, so what is one? Okay.
Now, when I had spec files listed, though, it would seem to be adhering to that test files.
Hash spec only do a single one.
But I could have sworn that in other discussions, spec now accepts a glob.
Of files.
See, I think spec is supposed to be for like picking a subset of your suite. Whereas it seems like we don't want to pick a subset. We just want to like have it.
So maybe test files is maybe that's the difference between this and test files, because it was actually doing something with test files a little bit ago.
Well, let's try the
Looking
test
at
files.
it.
If I do that,
take the spec out over here because it doesn't work.
and I move this over.
Yeah, so it has to be star slash. And does that? Oh, actually, here's a question. We do need to make sure that the naming we do here matches. So, like, did we? What did we actually call them? We should go move one to the right place, just one, and just call it the right thing. Right. So you can even grab like 000. It doesn't really matter which one, right? So it's yeah. See other. So that naming. Let's talk about naming. Does protractor deserve the privileged name E2E? And we wouldn't want to change it in this branch, but it seems like we might.
Tractor.
And that 000 can't be there either, Paul, because the step might get renumbered. We can't have the number of the step inside the file names inside the step.
Sure.
Index.
I would just call it spec.ts and make our thing look for anything that ends in spec.ts. Take that star thing and see if that'll work. I mean, we could certainly come up with, we could call it page.spec or example. We can call it anything we want, but
Index.
yeah.
Like the title of the step without the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so no files found. Well, yeah, because I told you not to look there.
Well,
Don't know if that's what test files tell us.
I'm not sure that we know how to tell it where to look.
There is the integration folder, which is the path to the folder containing the test files.
Yeah, I think we have to set the integration folder to be dot. I am not. I'm not too proud to like monkey patch Cypress if necessary to support our.
Would it be the first thing in this curriculum kit?
Hmm?
Would it be the first thing in
No.
this kit? We've done that too.
No,
I mean,
it would
live
not.
server was one.
Yes. Yeah, we had our own fork of live server for like a year and a half before they finally accepted our PR.
See, so we're looking for the options again, but now we're on the command line, so it's not going to give them to me. Got to go over here, and now I can look for folder. Integration folder.
Okay.
So I did spell it right.
So integration folder, make it dot and see
Okay.
what happens. It's probably going to refuse to run it with dot.
There it is.
Oh, it worked.
Oh, and is it running it? Or you click on it to run it?
Yeah, you click on it to run it.
Oh, simple. Very cool.
Okay. So
So now we just need to put the
Issue
right
resolved.
files in the right spot, and we're
so let's keep looking now.
further.
Take a look inside that file. We're going to think
which
about
file?
that single spec file, the one right in front of you in blue, or green rather. So the problem is line 3 is also unacceptable, as is line 5.
Sure.
Those are the problems. Line 3 and 5 are no good. So here's how we did it in Protractor. See that line 3?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what we did over here is we created a tiny little bit of tooling we could just import and use that knows how to figure out where I am, right? So underscore dir name, Node can tell you where you are.
But this isn't a Node app.
The Cypress program isn't a Node app?
No, the Cypress code is actually run in browser.
Wow, that's challenging.
The window.location.
So, yeah, and we've done that before also.
Yeah.
In this kit, I think we have a place where we do that. So we have to do a browser equivalent of that hackery. I have a strategy for accomplishing this.
We don't need to do this.
Right.
That's baked in.
Yeah, but that was the easy part. Why don't you just make a commit that does this, and we'll explain to Luke what we did.
Okay.
And then in a couple of weeks, we'll merge his branch if he figured it out and did it.
Okay.
Like that strategy? This is
So
if you're
Luke,
not in the room, we can delegate work to you strategy.
So I'm just going to start with a super naive thing. So what was it, window.location?
So we're gonna have the window location in order to know what location to send it to?
No, we're using window location to
Lowercase w for window.
to visit the Lance has got a point. Like we don't have the location until we've navigated to the thing.
That's fun. Extract.
But
Wait,
how did this
if we
code
already
get
have-
loaded? Yeah,
If we already
that's
have
right.
that, then we can just use that as a constant.
No, you're right. So when this code is loaded, by whatever means they're loading it, there's going to be something documented or undocumented that this file can find out what name it was loaded under. And if it knows what name it was loaded under, it can figure out where it is in the namespace, and it can run the right tests for what it pertains to.
Do we just want to extract the site.visit out to a constant and use it in both places?
Do what now?
No, you're missing the point. We rearrange the steps, the numbers and name. We rename and renumber steps.
Oh, good point.
And so if you have a file down in the step that knows where it is, you either have to manually keep it right every time, and our track record on that is very poor. Or you have to create an automated system that performs automated edits when you do that renumbering. And as the person who did that before, I would prefer not to take that approach. It was not awesome.
Yeah.
Also, that results in a file that is much harder to extract into a standalone example program and have it all work.
I have no idea.
Well, I'm sure there's some way to do it, because I mean they're using like I don't know what module loader they're using, but whatever module loader they're using, right? Whatever module loader that is has an API that you can find out what module you're in. And if you know what module you're in, you have a path. Take that out, just tack it on there, and you're up and running.
So any chance of Googling for Cypress module loader will give us anything?
Probably it'll turn out that there's some module loader named Cypress out there.
I'm guessing it's this Cypress Webpack preprocessor.
Probably. How old those dates are, though. They're probably not even using this anymore. Oh, wait. Doesn't this mean that they're using Webpack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just ask the internet, Webpack, how do I know the current module name? Like there's probably some module path or something, module path, module name.
Yeah, we need the path.
Try path then. Maybe there's some bit of code that you can just write. There you go. How about that question?
So, and,
Okay. Is there any hint in here? Or is this a different direction these people are going? Oh, it's my favorite thing.
Result.context.
Auto closing issues because of no activity, when the fundamental problem with the issue is that there's been no activity.
Right.
Favorite thing on GitHub. We didn't bother to investigate or fix your bug, so we decided to close it automatically. How about current file path and webpack? Hey, there is one file name. By default, doesn't leak path information. You notice that it can. Oh, interesting. So you have to like change a webpack config to enable it. So we have to like do some webpack config bit. Can this be true, Paul?
I would not put it past.
Well, just actually give it. You know what? There's a chance that they needed this for their reasons, though. Just console log __ file name. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe it'll just pop right out. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Pretty cool that it auto-completed file name.
What?
I mean, who knows? You never know what cool things will happen when you look.
So here, I would need to, if I just rerun it, is that sufficient?
Probably. Where do the console logs log?
Looky right
Look
there.
at that. There you go. See?
That was too easy.
You just spring split that sucker on the slash. You take bracket 1.
So what do you?
And you're off to the races.
Understand. Okay.
When you're in a
provide that.
Webpack thing, and Cypress has done the work of exporting the file name for you.
So const.
Hope we don't have Cypress change its implementation.
Okay, so const step dir equal. It's not string split. You just literally take file name dot split because it's already built into strings. So __ file name dot split on a single // which hopefully will be cross-platform enough, and then do a bracket 1 on that. Bracket 1, because the 0th was going to be the one before the first slash, which is going to be an empty string. And then on lines 4 and 6, just do the right thing. So on line 4, just put in describe step dir, and you can just literally just make that be the whole name of the step. You don't even need to like string it or interpolate it or anything. Just literally, that's the one. And then I think on line 7, you just do the slash and then the step dir plus step dir or whatever, plus slash maybe. Yeah. So you can be fancy on this one, but you know what I mean. That'll be so cool if that works.
Now the question is if backtick or backslash is going to be an issue on.
Well, we're already on Windows, and it gave us a /, and so certainly the other platforms are going to give us a /.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I've lost sense of my context here. So
yeah.
So this will be. It should use this describe on the list on the left.
Yeah.
And then it should like if it runs the test, we know it has successfully visited.
Yeah.
The correct location.
And we'll actually see the location come up, right?
Yeah. It'll say visit in the list over here. Yeah.
Nice. That's a beautiful thing.
Undocumented, probably attempted to be private functionality.
No, I think it was documented. I think that's the Webpack feature. I mean, it was in the types. It was in the types.
Yeah, it was in the types.
Yeah, it was in the types.
So like the types that you get by way of re-export of Cypress.
Yeah.
Is giving you this. Now,
So now when we update to the next version of Cypress, that we haven't updated to, it'll probably go away.
No, it's a Webpack feature, not a Cypress feature.
So as long as they continue to re-export out Webpack things,
Right.
we will continue to pick this up. Now, NX has something internal to them where they've like built their builder in such a way where they don't actually need
Line 1.
line 1.
See, I'm not used to needing line 1 either. I always thought there's something you put in your TS config and it just works.
So it could be. I have avoided tinkering too much with TS configs.
Yeah, you should be able to do a types in TS config that'll tell you where everything is.
So the question is, what TS config?
So it would be the root. So that because we do that for the benefit of the editor only, because there's a plugin that we're using that we plug into Cypress to do the actual compilation.
So you're saying whatever we do, Cypress will still be happy.
Right.
So spin on down to our TS config.
This is what we're looking at here.
So there's a type roots and a types both.
So if I just put Cypress right here.
Hold up, let's take a look at what all of our TS configs are. Because we have many TS configs. If you just scroll down on the left, like we have many TS configs from which to choose. So for whatever reason, our specs and our protester specs both get their own TS config.
That are not extended from the default TS config. Interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, as of at least last time I dug into this, the idea was that the default, the plain TS config was there only for IDE use.
Oh, we have a third.
Yeah, there's three of them. And see, they do extend. Look at line 10. They do extend.
That one does.
Oh, I see. Oh, yep, missed that.
This one does.
Base one.
That one does. Okay.
So the base one is what you need for the IDE. Then you extend them to get more specific stuff.
Mm-hmm. So throw Cypress and types.
It's possible that just throwing Cypress right there might be enough to make it work.
But that would also give Cypress types to the app as well.
Yes, but that is true of how we view the app from the editor, though.
What you're saying so the extends may cause us trouble that we have over on the right. So the extends may give us trouble. We may have to eventually go back and get rid of the extends. Although, look, no, it's overridden. Scroll up. Look at line 12. Right?
Yeah.
So basically, you end up having to put the union of everything you might need in the main TS config so that it'll be available in the IDE.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
forgot what Paul said just clicked, which was that VS Code is using tsconfig.json. It doesn't care about app or E2E or spec.
Right. Well, it's just, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it grows the capability to look and do the right thing. So, that's interesting. That line 1 is so short that there's really not any benefit to putting it in another file, right? So here's a question: if you do an it, are you getting the Cypress it or the Jasmine it?
Ooh,
because your types pull in both Cypress and Jasmine.
They technically were before as well.
Yes, they were. Here's a question: if you look in that Cypress directory, does it have its own TS config? It does not. Does it?
Well, it could be the types, but when it runs, it'll be the correct.
So it's using the.
Oh yeah. I have no concern about running the right one.
It has picked up the Mocha ones. That is what Cypress uses.
So if you bring up, do we have any unit tests? We do have unit test files.
Yeah, we've got.
Yeah.
Which ones are those picking up?
So over here, I've got an E2E file also.
And what is that?
So this one's ideally, this one would pick up Jasmine ones, and it's no longer.
Oh.
Because Cypress was the last loaded in the types.
So if you pull Cypress out, will that static HTML E2E go back to using Jasmine?
Well, you're not going to use Cypress. But if you change that TS config back and then reload, do you actually see it? Careful with that binging. One item binging into another. That is crazy.
And so,
and now
just the installation of those in here might cause it to still pick up Mocha?
I don't think so. I think it'll pick up Jasmine because we have Jasmine listed on line 19. How do we get it to pick up anything?
You see the bottom left where it says
Oh.
well, it's done now. But now if I come back over here, it'll actually
But something's not
try
working
it.
because line 13 now has an error.
It did before.
Oh, okay. Try to just.
Oh, but no, it's still picking up Mocha.
So why is it picking up Mocha? Like, how does it know to pick
Is
up
it because
Mocha?
of the type roots?
No. Yes, I think it might be. Well, no. Type roots lets it find things if you talk to them by name. I don't think it just literally finds every type in there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have
If
to.
there was a type that was a global module defined type.
So does it actually
would.
read through every one of those and pull them in?
Yep.
Oh.
And there's an @Cypress in there at the top.
There's @Cypress, but it's scoped.
Oh, I missed. Yeah, sorry, you were scrolling and my screen.
But there is a.
Didn't see it.
There's a type Cypress. Whatever.
No, but there's
no.
there's also not a.
Yeah, because they aren't in at types. It's literally pulling it because it's a.
But with TypeScript, it will also look for types in anything that is in the package JSON, since libraries are now including the types in the actual exported.
So
Like, how did it find? How is it now finding psi when previous ones it wouldn't?
That's could you be running a newer version of either of VS Code or
TypeScript or Cypress or Cypress plugin that was giving us TypeScript support? Yeah, it could be any of those things.
So this is actually a pretty common problem in a different context, and you're gonna be disappointed with what I tell you next. But the context is there are things that conflict between the browser environment and the Node environment, and so you end up with TypeScript pulling in Node's types, and then you want to type some browser JavaScript, and it keeps hurling Node types at you. The downside is I actually don't know if there's a way to get around that problem. I mean, I know if I'd seen it discussed, it was some time ago, so it might be solved by now. But I think there might actually be some bit of TS config we have to land to like block. I think there's actually a way to say don't ignore that. See that type over there? I don't like him. Don't type him. I don't like that type over there. Sorry.
So some exclude thing.
I think there might be. Because it's really not a good experience to have Mocha types leak in front of Jasmine. Actually, how about this for a general question? Like, just in the most general way, what is the right answer here? Like, what should happen?
Well, what should happen is that the two different frameworks should publish their own types formally, and then do so in a way that doesn't have a fighting namespace.
Yeah, I mean, is there a reason why Mocha and Jasmine both say, describe and it?
Because they're both fighting for the claim of being the de facto BDD framework that uses those words as part of the domain of BDD.
Gotcha.
This is Minko trying to take on this problem.
Oh, cool.
Except he's dealing with it from the perspective of you get a TypeScript error, whereas
one more plus.
We're dealing with it from the perspective of
this is from 2016.
One overrode the other.
Okay. So, David, what you can't see from your end is that each time one of our refrigerators kicks on or off, our TVs both turn off for a second or two.
Oh, nice. No, it's all buttery fuzzy here because of how fast things are scrolling.
How long does it take to stabilize once you stop scrolling?
A fraction of a second.
Okay, good.
So
good.
it's not long.
Good.
And it's not like it used to, it's not like years ago when the whole screen would be completely unreadable. It's just fuzzy.
Okay, so this is, it might be newer things, but let's get to. So what is he getting here? Saying we can compile, okay. Multiple versions of the same type definitions, okay. Okay. Ooh, so this is a different problem than we're having, but it's still gross. Ambient, right? Yeah. You can't namespace them because literally you're trying to put a type on a global thing. If you're saying globally, describe as this. Okay, so he's recapped. Is there a solution? Oh, bummer. Here's a question, Paul. If you did the ugly reference thing, does that override the global mess and give you the right types for the file you're in? Because that would be.
What's the syntax again?
I
was right over here.
It's been so long since I had to type that syntax that I haven't had to type that type syntax very often.
Actually, that may not be good. Oh no, I lost my history here also. All right, what about over here?
Whoa. Oh, what broke, Paul? No. What are you trying to put in?
I'm trying to get back to the Cypress folder so I can grab one of the lines.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait a second. How come one had it and one didn't?
So so VS Code,
oh no.
once it like comes across this line once,
it applies it everywhere.
It will then like load them up into memory.
Wait, maybe that was why we saw that in here. Because you still had 50 files that had this line in it. And that was, that's what, oh, here you go. You save all this in a branch, switch back to another branch that doesn't have all those files in it, and see if anything bad happens. You could even try installing Cypress in that branch, but don't make any other changes. Maybe it'd be fine.
Well, I'm still curious about your answer, or your question of this, though.
That would be awesome if we could just like force it, right? So here we're saying, no, when I'm here, I mean Jasmine.
So we're waiting on that to finish.
Okay, so is that a new thing? I don't remember seeing that.
It's been around for a while now.
Yeah.
Just stare at it whenever.
I have that banner blindness thing where if you stop looking at anything along the top or bottom because you assume they're advertisements.
Yep.
Okay, that seems to have forced it into Jasmine World. Now over here,
so
it has forced it into Jasmine World.
But it says it right there.
Wait, no.
What?
Before
Mocha done.
Before is a strictly Mocha thing.
Okay, so it.
No, that's Jasmine.
Wait, what? There's both?
Well, before it only exists in Mocha.
Right, Jasmine has a thing called before each, right?
Yeah.
And before all. So, okay. Okay, so describe. So how does it decide?
Well, fortunately, regardless, though, like it and describe have the exact same signature.
True.
As long as like we load both, like.
Oh.
So you're saying we don't need to worry about it today?
Yeah, but then we're trying to explain to somebody how these things work and how they're different, and we're looking at one, hovering the mouse, and it's showing us the types for the other one.
Yeah.
This is not excellent pedagogy.
Yeah.
I am really surprised that those 2-line ones did not fix the problem. See what we're saying, Lance?
No, sorry. What?
Line one, but
So
yeah, okay, yeah.
they both have a global type. They both have a global thing called describe, which they apply a type to. And you can tell which one you're looking at by kind of the stuff it mentions or doesn't mention. And so when Paul goes to the one on the previously we didn't have line 1 on the right, and we'd go hover on describe on the right, and it would tell us we were looking at a Mocha thing, even though in fact we were looking at a Jasmine thing, because the way the code's actions we were on with Jasmine. On the left, it would also, of course, tell us Cypress, which brings in Mocha. So we were hoping that if you just literally put a reference at the top of each file to say, go get those types for this file, that it would use the right types for each file, but it's not. It somehow is deciding that the Jasmine one wins. And so even on the right, where we've explicitly said this file is a Jasmine thing, you hover over an identifier and it gives you a Mocha thing. Wait, or did I get that backwards? Other way around. So even on the left, where you said this is a Cypress thing. What if you went to the top and put Mocha, though?
Why would
Copy
that
line
matter?
1 and say Mocha. Like, try to nail it down tighter. Say, no, we use Mocha here. And now if you
First, the complaint is because I don't actually have an npm install of Mocha for my types. We're getting it through Cypress.
Oh.
So what happens if you load this file second?
So close this, refresh, and then bring that file back up.
Yeah.
Tell our students it matters what file they open.
Well, I was just wondering because you loaded that one second, so I wonder if Jasmine takes precedence just because it's loaded further in later in memory.
It could be, yeah.
If it is, it's annoying, but
So, like, the way this is solved for actual compilation is like super simple. There's a different TS config,
right.
which, you know what I mean? And so it's only an IDE problem.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any current or future way to tell your IDE to respect those, like use the right TS config.
A specific file type or folder. Or...
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to. I mean, like the TS configs already have a limit, wildcards in them. So there's a way of saying, here are my TS config files. Please respect them.
That's funny.
That's great. Keep going. I gotta go check on something. A little demo in a minute.
So other people have probably run into this, right? I mean, I would think that we're not the only people who use Jasmine and Cypress in the same project. Or is there something goofy about our workspace here that is causing this?
Yeah. Especially if
we're already in a very unique niche because very few people actually write Cypress with TypeScript. Or if they, like it's not a first-class supported thing. You have to go either like make a custom build or use another tool that sits on top of it that builds it for you.
Well, that's interesting. This might be a, hey, Jesse Sanders, you look Cypress. How do you do it? And his answer might be, I use Jest, but I think Jest uses Jasmine internally. So.
Like you said that just as I saw, I'm so done with E2E testing until now. Rebug post from Jesse Sanders. Go by medium. Yeah, this is all very intro stuff. Nothing even talking about TypeScript really. Okay. Okay, so here's an NX one. Editors use the next highest. I don't know, to grab the. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. In this one is anything that is a mono repo where you're using more than one framework is going to run into this problem.
Yeah, and that's NX, like that's what this is.
Yep.
And so here, they're claiming that this reference types thing, I think what they mean to say is only use this.
No, what they say is that they've seen The last sentence is they've seen monorepo solutions use both. Like they've seen it in both solutions, and they want to know what the community thinks is the better fit.
Right, but we just tried this and it didn't work.
Well, it didn't work in VS Code. I wonder if that's VS Code messing up as well.
I think that's really what they're talking about, though. Yeah, because they're talking about IntelliSense.
Well, IntelliSense is one of those genericized words too now. Although it's right there, Visual Studio Code detects. Yep. Okay, never mind. I retract my statement. I gotta step away for a minute.
So this is one of the maintainers, and he's basically summing up like what the original author says. Like, yes, this is the thing that we're going to stick to. Like he said smart things. Don't derail the conversation. This is what we're working on. I want to give him a +1 for addressing the problem. Yes, he's saying that this problem is fixed over in the WebStorm world by doing what we tried. So someone like has nailed this problem on the head as an NX question because they're likely to have this co-located stuff. And so we're just reading through it. An answer? Nah, I don't know yet. No. It's closed. And so so the way VS Code resolves it is that it will traverse up to the first TS config it finds. It actually doesn't care or know about like your E2E and spec
So
ones.
if we had a different TS config copied to every one of our Cypress jars.
Yep. That only brings in the Cypress ones and not the Jasmine ones.
And then the same for our protector specters, right?
I mean, he's saying this works.
Wait, so does it?
So this person is saying
it says here. See the top line there. Here, still in draft. I think that's saying where the doc is.
So this person, I don't know what they mean by still same problem. Yeah, he said the answer is to go add a tsconfig file. Did you do that? And that's what this person asked. Did you do that? Yes, I
check
do.
that out.
And create it with this.
Have we read this page? Because we don't have a tsconfig.
I'm having the same issue. I included tsconfig in the Cypress folder. Okay. Okay, so how is this closed? What was this closed with?
Probably an activity.
Okay, where?
I wish there was a way to find the like if you search for the word closed, you keep finding other things that are closed that talk about this one. Close this.
Okay, so what's this? For adjustment. Okay, so sure.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually talking about like the building, which is not really what we have a problem
Right.
with. We've got that part nailed down.
Yeah.
This is a little bit too constrained. So this person is claiming that the tsconfig solution fixed it. Okay. So he's like saying the need for NX to tool this solution, basically.
Yeah, I think you should be subscribing to these issues as you see them, so that when the issue comes, the fix comes, you can tell us all about it.
Okay, so this is still in NX. It's talking about tsconfigs.
Mm-hmm.
It says it's got a lot. Each app has one. Each lib has one. Furthermore, it has one to understand its role as libs, as E2Es, as apps, as tests within apps. Just generally stating why all these things are what they are.
But none of these say about IDE issues.
Right. So over in Cypress, a guide for TypeScript support, they say they recommend the following, and they just say type Cypress,
Inside your Cypress folder.
which would scope the availability of Cypress theoretically to just those. So the answer that we think, let's just try it real quick. If we just make or copy a tsconfig.
Copy that one that they put in that web page you were just on. Right?
Sure. Alt key is acting up.
And this might not be quite sufficient, but it's a good starting point.
I'm back.
tsconfig.
That was weird.
JSON. Oh wait, that's not what I copied at all. The keyboard was probably asleep when I told it to copy.
That base URL is weird.
Yeah.
Why would your base URL ever be node modules?
Also, that's not where the modules.
I would leave that off.
I mean, we're just doing it to see if the editor can help us get the right.
Yeah, so in theory at this point, it should see Cypress types in here or not. Right?
So when it initializes, we're hoping to see Mocha here.
Yep. And still see Jasmine over there. We're probably going to find, Paul, that we need another 300 copies of tsconfig in our project to be successful.
Unfortunately, that did not work. It gave us Jasmine things.
Take out the first two lines on the right because it's been most recently added over there. Uh-oh.
Here it's actually picking up.
Hi. Wait, what?
So here on the right it's picking up Mocha. Now it's picking up Mocha on the left now at
So you
least.
now need to get a big map.
So over here, we need to eliminate from the very top the high. Wait, but we don't have them anymore over here.
Yeah.
And then you need a tsconfig in the E2E folder now, don't you?
No, because it should be climbing up the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And the only tsconfig it will find is the root one, which is this one, which doesn't ever, like on this path, there's nothing that says anything about a Cypress.
But it does talk about Jasmine.
And it does talk about a Jasmine, yet nevertheless, it says that, oh yeah, some random tsconfig in the middle of your hierarchy, like on a sibling path, is what I'm going to use to decide what types to give you intelligence about.
Okay, next question. Are you on the fully updated Visual Studio Code?
As of this afternoon, yeah.
Question on that. Are you so obsolete as to be using the released VS Code instead of the VS Code Insiders Edition?
I made green, so it's inside.
It's Insiders, yeah.
Okay. Is there maybe a open issue or a setting in VS Code that might affect this? Because like I said, this is working fine for compilation because those the little files point to which things to use.
So it would be adding a tsconfig to the E2E be unacceptable as a workaround.
Hey, this okay. After I had the Cypress after I had the Cypress package, it showed me Mocha, and this is the problem we're having, right?
And you can run the test without error.
So this is only an error if we're trying to look at the types within the editor. It doesn't actually. Okay.
Yeah.
How can I solve the confusion in the testing? Okay. Since you didn't specify types, it takes all the types. So but we do specify types in our tsconfig, don't we?
We do.
Possible solution can be to create tsconfig JSON in nested folders and add types in it.
That does not.
Is Cypress still in the top level tsconfig?
Now we're looking. It's right there, right in front
it's
of
right
us.
here.
And we do specify types. So this should be stopping it from just like finding all types everywhere. So what is the problem we're having? It's still finding.
It is still finding both.
It's still going to be so going back to what Kyle, one of your stated goals for Cypress tests is to put the Cypress tests in with the rest of the lessons. That's going to be a real hard problem to solve because the Cypress files and the unit test files, which use Jasmine, are both going to be in the same folder.
No, they're not.
Are we putting them all in that integrations folder? I thought they were going to be.
No, just look at how we structure our current ones. Like we have for each step, we have the protractor stuff in a folder called E2E. We don't just have it like dumped right in with the exact same files.
Okay.
And we can do the same.
Well, no, yeah, that I think for compilation that'll be fine, but for the way that VS Code is going to look for type tsconfig files, it's going to go up from, like say 101 data binding. It's going to go from that folder up and find the first tsconfig.
But it isn't. We have right here in front of us. It is demonstrably not doing that because this file on the right is right here, and strictly climbing upward. The only tsconfig file it finds is the one here at the root, and the one here at the root does not specify anything about Mocha or Cypress.
Can you go back to that folder real quick?
Which folder?
The Cypress one.
So the file on the right is not in the folder.
There's a tsconfig. Oh, I see.
You're crossways.
I
We're
see.
looking at on the right. This is
Okay,
the
okay.
protractor test.
We're
Got it.
not mixing different kinds of tests in the same directory.
Got
I
it.
guess that's it.
Got it.
And so,
Like for pedagogical reasons, not only for
yeah,
that.
the thing that you said is what everyone is saying, but as far as we can tell, demonstrably that is not true.
That is what is supposed to happen.
It says click to show two definitions. So here it appears as though it has picked up on the fact that there are two definitions, but it's not sure which one to show me. But that should also be true then about expect. It is, but it's just giving you IntelliSense on the wrong one. And so it has successfully realized that both of these are in play because of the various files I've opened. But yet still it hasn't drilled down based on this file's lineage which one it should be giving me.
Try going to the VS Code issue tracker and type multiple tsconfig.json. Maybe there's some known issue, you know?
VS, I just typed random things up there. Only 5,000 plus issues. Holy smokes. What are we looking
Not
for
really
again?
surprising.
Multiple TS config. This is going to give us back a whole. Like, this is going to be impossible. So what? That's nowhere near as big.
Yeah, 15. Open up.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to get us anywhere.
Try typing Jasmine Mocha for your search in there. Because it seems like maybe somebody might have brought up the issue by mentioning specifically Jasmine and Mocha. What do you suppose that means?
Do I have an extension?
Well, that would be weird if an extension was jumping in and. How do you tell which one? Yeah, is that enabled? That's all the ones you have installed. So not very many. Yeah.
No, there's a Firebase extension.
What's that?
I didn't know there was a Firebase extension.
I haven't seen any JAG.
Yeah, I don't have anything that.
Okay. Okay, and here this person was also saying, see, I'm not either. But can you disable all the extensions? Yeah. Okay. Oh. Look at that. You seem to be picking up global typings for Jasmine, even though you made it explicitly install Jasmine.
Oh my gosh.
What's he about to say here? Exclude. There's a type acquisition. I don't know if this still exists because this was in 2017, but it looks like there's a way to say. Remember I said I thought there's some kind of like a blocker mechanism where you can block types you don't want.
So over here on the left, we would want something. Like,
you think it's in compile options or out here?
Well, it was next to compile options. So over here, I want to include chai and exclude Jasmine. I'm basically going to copy this file over to here, just to try and get somewhere. And then I'm going to delete my types here. And then I'm going to
See you guys
delete my
on Friday
types
next week.
here.
Cool.
I'll leave
Now you,
that.
where are you going?
I'll be in Denver.
You have a trailing comma in the E2E TS config.
Edit that part out.
It's possible type acquisition may have been removed or renamed since then, but you're trying to auto format your file.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not taking.
Yeah.
Line 5 is a trailing comma.
I should
Which
stop auto formatting.
It might because it's JSON.
Wish there was like a force format feature. You could tell it, format this no matter what.
But prettier is saying I'm formatting properly.
I feel like certain features need
We
like
can work on
a do this or die trying feature, where you're like, either you will successfully format this, or I want you to delete yourself from my computer. Will not take no for an answer.
Have like 6 going on at once now. Battle Royale.
All right, I'm gonna leave these both up while the JSDS thing does its thing. Oh, that finished really too fast.
That's scary.
And over here, it appears to have totally failed to do its job.
What?
It found Jasmine types over here, despite the fact that we told it to very explicitly to please do not ever give me Jasmine types.
Do you have to tell it to include Mocha?
Well, I told it to include Cypress, because
What will that-
Cypress is the one who re-exports our Mocha.
Oh, it's re-exporting. It's not like depending on it bringing it in. Okay.
All right. Our top level still has Jasmine, so that might be part of the problem.
You can try removing it.
So if I get rid of that, which
Do you? Plus, remember, like you probably ought to check that this type acquisition is still a thing.
Yeah.
It still has that name. Like, or it's very possible that that was.
This was a couple of years
Because that's
ago.
talking about a JS config also. See, he's talking about some JS config
Yeah.
thing. We may need to find out the TypeScript config way to say block these types.
No, that didn't even work. He's like, yeah, sorry.
So in compiler options, you can put type roots or types. If you put in types, it will. Let's see. So if the tsconfig file will only include types that
We
you
should-
list.
Could have sworn we already tried this, but let's try it.
So
Yeah.
you sent over here.
I'm
types.
not finding compiler options or
This is-
type
this type.
acquisition. Sorry.
So you should put just only list Cypress here, right?
And then,
Yeah.
And then do the opposite on the other one. The type acquisition thing apparently is a no-go. Because that was like some funky JS support thing. Not quite what we need. Okay, so for this one, we're going to say, only give me Jasmine. And you already took Jasmine out at the top, right? So like
just now, yeah.
and then, it's JSON, so it's angry at line 6.
Oh, I know. I bet I
Double
know.
quotes around types.
Yeah. Our keyboard stops working occasionally. We don't know why.
Is it a Logitech keyboard?
Yes. No, what, Paul? We need a keyboard sponsor.
I have a Logitech wireless headset that in the middle of calls while I'm talking will disconnect and reconnect.
See, I have an old Logitech headset that is like beat up and physically falling apart, but it still works great. I have a Jabra one that works great also. Okay, so you set up the two of them the right way, and in theory, what? So where was that?
Because you removed the because it's only seeing the types that you've described.
That might be a node type __ file name
Could
that
be.
Webpack latched on to taking the same name as node. So I bet if you added the
But
node types on the one on the left.
But it's still.
No, it's an override.
Yeah.
It replaces the whole set of types. It doesn't add to it doesn't inherit and add. It replaces.
But hey, this is actually what it worked.
So try adding
These
node
need
on the
both
left
configs.
and see if it like works everywhere.
Yeah, and
Wait,
this
the
one
one
is,
on- wait a minute.
this one's not even
The one on the
extending.
right.
So
Underscore dir name worked, which comes from node. But over here on the left, underscore file name doesn't, that comes from node. How come that one got the node types and that one didn't?
Maybe Jasmine re-exposes this.
so what does the E2 ETS config look like?
E2 ETS config. I don't know, but it doesn't actually get used ever by VS Code.
No, sorry. The TS config in the E2E directory.
It has
So this
just Jasmine.
Huh.
and this it doesn't say node, and yet
I bet Jasmine exports,
well, this is
re-exports it.
maybe, but
Like it's
Try
giving me
control-
no. There it goes. It
Yeah,
finally
it's
picked
node.
up.
It's a node identifier, right?
But it just said it was set timeout and not dir name.
What?
Every time I go from one file to the other, it's losing its mind and having to like repopulate IntelliSense.
It's
No, it's
No,
doing
no,
declare bar.
It's just
and
showing you a
it's just showing
fragment of a
snippet.
spec of a
I see,
of a
I
text
see.
file. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, it's just saying it knows about a type file, and probably if we let it load, it would eventually tell us what type file it knows about.
There you go. Node global.
So why did this pick up nodes types? Didn't we tell it not to?
We didn't not to, but
I thought for the TS config we're using for this one, I thought we told it
Yeah.
exactly what types.
this is the TS config for the left,
Right.
and it no
And it
working
doesn't
with.
know about node types.
Wonder
right?
what happens if I
And we need it to know about node types.
this keyboard.
Don't know about console.
What are you trying to do? Console log dir name and see if that one works? No, because it's like I don't know about that. You didn't tell me to use node types, so I didn't use node types.
Interesting.
There's file
So
name.
why?
So Cypress.
So
doesn't re-export the
Jasmine's
latches on.
maybe Jasmine is actually in fact
Well,
No,
let's see if we can fix this one. If you change the TS config we're using for this one to mention node, does it? Also, I'm not even. Yeah. I wonder if it goes up and finds the right node modules to look into. It must. I found Cypress somehow, but that could have been it. You could have found it for erroneous reasons. Now this looks like it works. Is that because it hasn't initialized yet?
That's why it's really fast.
It does work. Look, you hovered it and it knows what a dir name, it knows what a file name is. No problem. And over here it knows what a dir name is, but we just don't know why.
right. So it almost certainly has to be that Jasmine
Yeah.
re-exports it.
And
Right,
Cypress doesn't.
re-exports the node types.
Ooh, by
And
the
Cypress
way,
doesn't, but latches on.
notice how we called it app path over here. I wonder if we should, for consistency, call that app path and go ahead and put the slashes on it, when we build it. Because here, see how here it uses the exact same one? It uses the name that, the place it's fetching is the exact name of the thing. I don't know if that's worthwhile or not, but it might.
Sure.
It might be a little bit easier to understand as a consumer.
Well, the describe just uses the basic app path without the slashes, and then
Well, that's what we set it to just a moment ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was just kind of like an arbitrary first.
Oh, I see. The app path dir name. I see. Okay.
We're trying to make them the fewer arbitrary differences there are between the two, the harder it is, or the easier it is to explain the intentional differences between the two.
So the static HTML E2E spec is just printing out the entire directory name. It's not doing any splits or anything.
Right. Well,
Say
what do you get with index path of dir name?
Index path basically does a more complex version of this. Index path is a function in this E2E kit code because it was more complex than this, and I didn't want to have it. I want to have the minimum possible number of
So
lines.
Kyle,
Can we
that means
use
that
that?
__ file name would be available to us here also.
Yeah, undo a little bit and go see what dir name does. Because if you control click into index path, you'll see what it does. I mean, it's not hidden. It's just a file. Why does it not?
Initializing for some reason.
What?
There's a lot of
Like, does it reinitialize every time you breathe on it?
Not usually.
VS Code is really sketchy right now.
Yeah, it does more complex things, right?
Oh wow. Wait, can we not use?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if file name's available to us, why don't we just use file name over here in the E2E land?
No. Because it's doing more complex work. It's actually detecting it's actually literally looking at the disk to see if there's an AOT index, and if so, giving you that one instead.
So you're saying this one just isn't complete enough yet?
This one's never going to be able to look at the disk and tell you if there's an. I mean, because you don't run Cypress tests against. So remember, Cypress is easier and more pleasant because it's less end to end. I don't think there's even a way to run it against your AOT code. I guess you could run it
if you started with a server, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't. I guess we'd have to have some different way to tell it that we wanted it to do this thing. But the point of this,
why?
Because this is node code. This is not node code.
But it's still.
There's nothing you can do here to run node code. Because it runs. This all runs in the browser. This runs on the. This looks at the disk.
Gotcha.
See, it's like
gotcha. Yep.
that. See that line?
Yep.
Yeah. But we can push all that down a little bit, right? Because it's not. I don't see any great urgency to run Cypress against the E2E code. I mean, the purpose of this was to make sure our E2E didn't blow up, and we can do that with what we have here. Okay, so where are we?
So I think we have an example that we can go back and tell Luke, like, go make this transformation to all the other ones. Go through the grunt work of making that, and having put him through the grunt work of having done that, he will now know why we care about this mechanism in the first place, because he will have had to have touched every single one of them.
Okay.
And he will never want to have to touch manually every single one of them again.
So he'll have to touch every one of them, and he'll have to copy those config files into place. So you ready to wrap up our session here?
Yes, I think so.
It's beer o'clock on Friday.
A question: do we just want to merge my thing real quick? Not the one we talked about, but the one with the router.
Well, let's just wrap this one. We'll wrap this up for now, and then we'll pick that up whenever. I don't want to be responsible for having to throw this out.
Yeah, this is not a stop.
Yeah. Okay, well, take it easy, David.
All right.
Okay.
So other than quick question, other than packaging assets for a library as a new more step, I guess we'll go over the accessibility changes in a future meeting.
Yep.
I was wondering if anybody had a chance to take a look at them or ask questions about it. Had any questions about them that I might be able to answer?
I don't know, but it's not clearly my fault that we missed beer o'clock. So
all right,
push it to the next one.
All righty.
Take it easy.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.